go. Welcome back for another episode of the Bolt Standard. Week 6 is here. Chargers heading to Miami this week. Justin, how we feeling, man, heading into week 6?
Feeling better considering the opponent. And I mean, I can't take any opponent lightly with the way that we've been playing. Um, but I can say pretty confidently that I'm a little more confident about this game than the last two. Thought that we would handle the Giants. Just obviously, just offensive line didn't really hold up, and we played some sloppy football. And then same thing last week, sloppy football, too many penalties, shooting ourselves in the foot. But I think that we can turn the page this game against Miami. Obviously, it is away, playing on the East Coast again in that early window.
Yep,
But I do think that I think we'll turn the page, and I think regardless of injuries, I think that we can move forward, head over to 4-2. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm optimistic about this one.
for sure. Kind of a interesting time here in for us Chargers fans and for the Chargers in general. Riding such a high after 3-0, and then these last 2 weeks have not been good at all. And then here we are after week 5, 3-2. Couple things to talk about though. Heading into week 6, we're gonna get you guys that preview. Of course, hit our Bolt Standard betting segment, get you guys some money this week, make ourselves some money a little bit, and then our game prediction. Before we get there, because we didn't have a post-game show, we're just going to briefly recap last week or talk about it real quick because I do think there is some things that we should touch on. You mentioned it a little bit. I'll let you start it off. What'd you see week 5 in that loss 27-10, started off 10-0, came out strong, looking like the team that we're supposed to be at home, and then all of a sudden the wheels fell off after that fumble midway through the second quarter. What are your thoughts on that week 5 game?
Yeah, like you said, real hard start. I mean, 10-0 could have easily been either 13 or 17-0, depending on what would have happened on that drive. But we were in scoring range, well in scoring range with the best kicker in the NFL right now, Cameron Dicker,
Yep.
most accurate kicker. So no, things kind of just took a bad turn and too many technical issues. A lot of penalties, just negating just great things. I mean, like you said, I mean, driving down there, okay, fumble, QJ, which, fumbles happen. Also could have been a penalty called on that play, helmet to helmet on QJ. I mean, he got rocked helmet to helmet. So, I mean, that right there, you got that. But then, like you said, you kind of go down. We were able to kind of get Washington and force them into a real bad punt situation, punting out of their end zone. Ladd return TD, call back, Marlowe Wax roughing the punter.
Brutal.
It's just you can just point to so many different things. You can go into the third quarter where, second and 19, Herbert, completes it, first down to QJ, bring it back. Trey Pipkins holding. Okay, second and 28, no problem. Complete that. Dart, done right sideline to Keenan Allen, first down. Nope. Wait a second, bring it back. Legal formation, Pipkins lined up in the backfield. So just not good, not technically sound. Defensively, not good either. But, we couldn't set the edge. And that's one the big thing that we're missing with Mac. Mac was just good against the run and the pass, and just stout against both. And right now, I mean, we got some edges that are really light. I mean, Bud is not a light edge, but he's just not doing much of anything, whether it's pass game, pass rush, or against the run. And then you got Caleb Murphy, who he's just definitely too light. I mean, he can't do anything against the edge, and we saw it all game long. They were just literally just setting the edge on him and running his way and blown by everybody. Like it was pretty bad. And then, like I said, talked about the offensive line. I mean, there's nothing we can do about. Superman can't be Superman if his offensive line is made of kryptonite. I mean, there's nothing you could do about what Herbert's out there doing. And everybody always wants to give the quarterback the slack and say it's their fault. I mean, yeah, Herbert had that goal line and so that was tipped. And I mean, you touched on it like 2 weeks ago. Herbert definitely does have too many passes that get tipped for a quarterback of his height.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, tip pass, good play by the defensive lineman. I mean, that's what that was. But all these plays that he's making, whether it's with his legs, we've seen get called back, or whether it's just tremendous throws, seen those get called back. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that stuff. There's nothing that's on the quarterback. It's just it's a breakdown on the team, and
Yeah.
that's what that is. So that's what I got for the recap.
Yeah. I mean, that was just the game was just wild. You felt like we were had good, really good control. Like we talked about the 10-0 start. And then for me, the concern is just the scoreless football for 3 quarters, having no answer. driving the ball well on what was the first three drives, and then QJ fumbles heading into their red zone. Essentially, it was right at the 25-yard line, and from there it was nothing. It was literally nothing until the fourth quarter after we got the fumble that TR Tart forced. They showed it on the broadcast on Fox. This was with 5 minutes left in the third. They had 270 yards of total offense and 20 points at that from that QJ fumble, which was 8 minutes in the second quarter. We had
Hmm.
12 total yards. Like 2 quarters worth of football and to only get 12 yards is not good.
At all.
There's no other way to put that. It was just I just couldn't believe what I was watching because there was no fight back. There was nobody making a play. I was just waiting for somebody like Derwin to pop. Herbert was trying. You talked about that sequence, and that's what I knew. I had that highlighted too because that's when I knew that that was just like really indicative of the game that we had, especially those 3 quarters worth of that game. A monster play, a callback. And the funny part about that is that was literally the first three offensive plays of our second half. After allowing them to score, because we didn't
Mhm.
get that punt return touchdown. So then it was
Yep.
10-10 at half. They go down and score quickly, 4 minutes. We get the ball back, first play sack, so second and 19, like you said. Then we
Hmm.
convert, called back, holding, second and 28. Convert 30 yards, called back, illegal formation. Unfortunately, we didn't have nothing for second and 33. So
No.
from our own 10. So you just gotta move forward at this point. That was a bad loss as far as just the way we played. It wasn't a bad football team. Washington, they're solid. Are they beatable? Yes, but at the end of the day, Jaden Daniels was back. He was healthy. That adds a whole different dynamic to their offense. And
Mhm.
they came to life when they made a play, and we weren't able to do anything to show any fight back once we hit adversity, which is really strange for a team with the leaders like we have with Herbert on offense and Duran on defense and the coaches we have like Harbaugh to figure out something at the halftime adjustment. I just not sure what it was that we couldn't turn it around, but it's kind of disheartening to say. But I will say the sky is not falling. After 5 weeks of football, we're still in first place in our division with wins over the two teams behind us.
Yep.
We are still one of 7 teams in the AFC with 2 wins or 2 losses or less. There's only 4 teams, nobody's undefeated. 4 teams have 1 loss, and then 3 have 2. Everybody else has 3 or more. Like we're still in position to handle business and move forward. Yes, do we have to figure things out? Of course. But we can't let 2 weeks define our season right now. We can't let injuries define our season because other teams are dealing with injuries. Like I know we have stars out, but the 49ers have stars out, and they just went on the road on a short week and beat the Rams with a backup
Yep.
QB and other backups in the lineup. You look at another team. Who did I have on here? Where are they at? I had that they went down and they did the same thing. Tampa Bay, they went to Seattle,
Yep.
as far as a trip as you can make down south from Florida up to the west coast of Seattle. Tough
Hmm.
road environment to win at. Down Mike Evans, down Bucky Irving, down a lineman,
Yep.
found a way. So at the end of the day, you just got to find a way. We're in the middle of the year now. We're in week 6. Teams have been getting hit, getting hurt. People are dropping. You just got to go find a way. And I think we'll figure that out this week, or I hope we will figure that out this week. But at the end of the day, everything's still in front of us, and we go to 4-2. 4-2 feels a lot better than 3-2. It looks good to have 4-2, and now we're have put a positive foot forward and just build again.
No, absolutely. Like you said, definitely got to find a way. And finding a way meaning whether it's offensively, you're just putting up a lot of points, or defensively, you're holding them to very little points. And neither of those things are happening. And just a quick another stat, we had 13 pressures, which that's actually not bad. I mean, 13 pressures on Jaden Daniels last game, but only one QB hit and only one sack.
Yeah.
So we're not finishing the deal.
Yeah.
Um, with that, love what we did. Love the trade. Love the trade. Loie Gilman. I did like a Loie Gilman, but obviously we had a surplus at safety. I mean, we got just talented people all throughout that safety room. Obviously leading Derwin. You got Elijah Molden back this year after the injury. Tony Jeff, who's just been playing great football, and then you got RJ Mickens, who looked super good in the preseason. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just interested. I mean, and you got Kendall Williamson as well, another one of those young guys who I thought he looked really good in the preseason too. So I think you got plenty of people in that room where you're not going to miss Alohi at all.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that Adafe Oweh is such a huge boost to the room, considering what you have outside of Mac, who's not playing because recovering from injury, Thule, who's been doing pretty good, but
Yep.
But outside of that, Bud, Caleb, Kyle Kennard, healthy scratch, you ain't got nothing. So I love that trade. I love bringing it in. We gave up a fifth this year to get back a seventh next year.
Yeah.
So you still get the draft capital kind of swap, but obviously the fifth that we lost is a lot more advantageous than the seventh that we're getting. But I don't care. We got an edge in the room, which we know we needed. His traits are pretty undeniable. This guy's about 6'5", 6'6", ran a 4.37. Like, that's what we needed. We didn't have that guy off the edge who
Yes.
has that kind of juice. Um, and you see it. Every time we get pressure on the quarterback, we flush him out the pocket, we don't ever catch him. We just don't
Um,
ever catch him. So hopefully he's able to do some of those things. So I'm excited about that. I thought it was a really good trade. I got a lot of people kind of complaining about the trade, but I think it's an A+ trade, honestly. I don't think we lost anything worth complaining about. And I think we only gained something that could tremendously help us now and the rest of the season.
Yeah, because of value, I'll put that around that A range for sure. To harp on it, it was Odafe Oweh got traded for Aloha Gilman, and so he's coming in, and like you said, we swapped. We gave him a fifth round next year, and we get a seventh the following year. Big trade for us, upgrading in the middle of the year, and I think that shows the urgency to not let this 3-2 define us. These last 2 weeks define us to move forward. We see what our flaws are, and one of the biggest flaws right now is pass rush. Outside of Thule, who generates, he's 12th in pressure rate in the NFL right now. He got the 4 sacks against New York. Outside of that, we haven't done a ton of sacking of the quarterback, and you mentioned what happened last week. Odafe Oweh is 33rd currently. Outside of Thule, though, who was 12th on our team, the next highest was Caleb Murphy, who was ranked 131st in the league for pass rush rate or pressure rate, excuse me. Just insane amount of lack of production, excuse me, from that room.
Yeah,
And so to add somebody is huge. And I always say, and anybody knows, a really good pass rush makes your secondary look better too. So that will help some of those problems. And we like to go with four. We don't really like to send five a whole lot. And when we do, we usually get home because it's like a Henley or a Derwin that's getting
yep,
sent. Very timely pressures for those packages. So with four, that means Oweh has to be one of them, and Thule, or before Oweh, it was, Murphy or Bud, and none of those guys were getting home at all.
no,
Yeah, big time game for us, and I think it can really boost us forward moving, especially moving into this week with a Miami line that isn't very good. So I think we'll see pretty quickly some return on that trade.
absolutely.
So yeah, let's talk about that. Mention we see Miami this week, and we're going to Miami. Early start on the East Coast, kind of like what we did a couple of weeks ago against New York. Let's preview this game. What are you looking for? What are you excited to see this weekend?
Just us kind of getting back to, what we do. Chargers football, Harbaugh football, just physical. Obviously, we know on both sides of the ball. I think defensively now, I mean, obviously we brought in Odafe Oweh. I still think that defensively our trenches are pretty good. But it does hurt when you do have edges who can't get pressure and they also can't set the edge against a run. Because it limits you what you can do defensively. So I'm interested to kind of seeing how our defense would look against Miami. I mean, Miami's a team that's been struggling on both sides of the ball. A couple quick stats. So offensively, they're 25th in scoring offense, 23rd in offensive yards. But they're also 29th in total yards allowed on the defensive side. So offensively and defensively, they're literally like bottom thirds of the league when it comes offense and defense in total yards. Um, so one thing that I'm looking at us. Okay, we know that Miami's letting up a ton of yards. Okay, how do we look at that in that kind of category? Well, we're 12th in total yards. The reason why we have not been playing well is just like what you talked about. We cannot go 3 quarters of football pretty much without being able to score the football. You, when I saw this stat, I was like, it makes sense. I didn't think we were that bad, but it definitely makes sense. So us looking at our scoring offense. We are 25th in scoring offense and 19.6 points a game, only 10 touchdowns scored, and we're 30th. This is where it really hurts. We're 30th in red zone TD rate at 38.5%. So that's really what's killing us. I mean, you look at a lot of different possessions, tipped passes for an interception. You look at settling for field goals. When we're on first and one, or I mean, it's just it's really bad red zone efficiency.
Yeah.
And Roman has to do a better job at calling those plays, specifically in the red zone. We could not get down there and score touchdowns at 38.5% clip. That is terrible.
No.
Like you said, like I said, it's 30th in the NFL. That is terrible. That could not happen. So the big things that I'm looking at, I'm looking for us to be a lot more efficient in the red zone, obviously, versus the Miami Dolphins team, who's like almost dead last in like everything. I mean, they're dead last against the run, the middle of the pack against the pass. So I expect us to try to potentially run a little more. Obviously, no Hampton, it's Haskins, Vidal, Naeem Hines got signed to the practice squad. Is he going to get elevated? Who knows? But I think that you got to try to take advantage of it. I mean, they're 32nd. They're the worst team against the run in the league. I
Yeah.
think you gotta try to take advantage of it, even if you don't got, your top backs. We're down our top two backs. I think we need to take advantage of it. And that's kind of what I'm looking at. I want to see if Roman kind of gets us back to just like, Greg Roman, Harbaugh football. I don't care if, we got Herbert. I just want to see us try to take advantage of something that we know the other team is not good at. The last two games, we have not done that. Giants were not good against the run. We didn't even want to try to look to run the ball that much.
Yeah.
Washington, they're actually a little bit more stout against the run,
Yeah.
but we shied away from that too. So it's like, can we try, please? This is the worst team against the run. I want to see us run the football. I don't care who we're handing it off to.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you look at a guy like Rico Dowdle, journeyman backup that just got to Carolina. The only reason he's playing is because two guys are hurt. Runs for 206 yards against that defense last week. And Carolina's offensive line isn't the Philadelphia Eagles. So
No,
Miami has some issues going on. And I would venture to guess that the only reason they're middle of the pack against the pass defense is teams are up, so they got to run the ball. So they find that
exactly.
clock. Or else that pass defense might be a little lower. Um, yeah, I'm with you though about what I'm looking for this week. I want to see us get back to that Harbaugh style of football. And for me, I'm zoning in on the penalties. Okay, a more disciplined team. This is not Harbaugh-like. In the last two games, both losses, we had 24 penalties that totaled 192 total yards, and we lost a turnover battle in both games.
Hmm.
A couple things that didn't happen last year a lot, which was penalties and losing a turnover battle. Um, so I'm looking for both of those things to be a lot different this weekend in Miami. Taking care of the ball. I don't want to see any turnovers. We had the QJ fumble and Herbert's interception.
Yeah,
We only had caught forced one ourselves, and it took like a miracle play from T.R. Tart, which was awesome. A
yeah,
big play, got through the line, busted it up, and gave us a shot. But I want to see, we haven't caused an interception in a few weeks. Maybe we can, play with Tua's mind a little bit. They like to get horizontal a lot, get the ball to Achane, Waddle, quick screens, a lot of screens for these guys. So I'm wondering if our linebackers can get side to side, Henley not get caught up with those linemen, die, and then Jefferson and Molden come up and make some plays. I anticipate Derwin being all over the place as well. So really just an overall bounce back performance, but I'm really looking at that penalty side of things. We talked about that stretch for that first three plays where it was sack, penalty, penalty, and we're sitting at second and 33. I don't want to see that this week. I don't care how bad our line is. We're gonna keep talking about it because yeah, there's been a problem, but at some point we just gotta play better. If we have injuries, that's fine, but you're not gonna win football games when you have penalties. Doesn't matter how injured you are, you have to play clean football. Um, you know. Yes, does it suck that Deculus is the worst offensive lineman in the entire league right now? Yeah, that sucks. But I mean, at the end of the day, we can't put ourselves in second and long, third and long, all game long. And that goes right back to what you said about establishing the run. I have that as my key matchup because Miami's just such a bad run defense that we still, regardless of Hampton's injury, which I'm really hurt, not just as a Chargers fan, also having him on my fantasy team recently making a trade like. Man, if Dowdle can go for 200 yards, what would Amari and Hampton do? At least 150. I don't care if they're, stacking the box, but you can't stack the box. We got Q and Keenan and Ladd ready to go over the top with Herbert, like which we really want to do. So, man, it hurts that, that happened this week because I think Omarion could have exploded. He was just, really hitting his stride as that lead back. But Vidal, Haskins, you're on the roster. See what you got. Herbert on the ground, he ran for 60 last week. Yes, he had that huge opening run for 40 yards, but he also pulled it another time on his own read.
Mhm.
So I'm looking to see if he incorporates himself into the run game a little bit too and really just punish these guys because, like I mentioned last week after the Giants game, a good way to slow down a defensive line and to help out a bad offensive line is to run the football, get your guys moving forward instead of backward. So that's what I'm looking for this week. And I just, slow down on the penalties. Don't kill drives. Don't extend drives for them. We took 7 points off the board that could have been huge for us heading into half because of a penalty. So just killer penalties at the wrong time often too.
Absolutely. Like I said, let's play a little bit more technically sound and let's get a win.
Absolutely. So we made it to bold standard betting, our betting segment. We're going to kick it off with our bolt the door lock of the week. We're all looking to bounce back this week. Justin had the only hit last week, so we're looking to make right with some of these plays. I feel good about some of these picks this week. So we're going to start there with you. That bolt the door lock of the week. Where are you going this week?
Bolt the door lock of the week. I'm taking it to my man 10. He's hit this line in four of the last five games. I'm taking him for over 16 and a half rushing yards.
Ooh.
Just like kind of like what you said just literally a couple minutes ago. I feel like he's going to incorporate himself a little bit more into the running game. I think banged up O-line, I think it's going to also it's going to not even allow, it's going to be kind of a necessity maybe to kind of get out that pocket every now and then and kind of I hope that Roman incorporates some of that maybe just on the move type stuff that's going to allow him to be on the run, looking downfield. If you don't see anything, okay, I'm just going to take it what I can get with my feet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got him over 16 and a half. Like I said, he's hit this in every game except one. And he's just looking really good out there. I mean, when he's in his decision making process and when he's knowing when to tuck the ball and go, we're seeing a lot more of it. And like you said, he even had that, option read one where he pulled it and he took it. So loving that. I think that, they got two pass rushers that, when you're looking at a quarterback scrambling, what are the two things that will typically allow for that quarterback to scramble or run? You got, if it's option read game, you got that edge wanting to really come downfield and really not paying attention to that quarterback. They're really trying to get in that backfield. So you got that, but then you also have on the pass rush side when those edges are really trying to fight around the edge and they're getting real outside and they're getting real wide. It
Yeah.
opens that lane up for that quarterback to scramble. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Herbert to get downfield to use his legs. So 16 and a half, I think I think it's a lock. Like I said, hit it in four or five games. The only game he didn't was against Denver, which Denver has a team that's really well coached and their defensive line is really good. So they
Yes.
don't they don't allow quarterbacks to have those running lanes like that. So
Yeah.
that's why obviously I think he scrambled once in that game, or even twice.
Yeah.
And he's obviously didn't hit that line. So lock that in. Bolt the door lock of the week. What you got over there, Dylan?
I love that play. I was really looking closely at that one. For the first time, I'm taking my lock to an over from somebody on the other team. I'm taking H-Hands over 4.5 receptions. I think they always go side to side, dump the ball screens, and with Tyreek out, I don't think they're going to run the ball very well on us. They don't have a great run offense in general, anyways. I think 4.5 is pretty easy on DraftKings. That's minus 153. So, not a ton of money on there, but I got to hit. It's a bolt the door lock of the week. I got to hit that lock this week. So, I just think 4.5, five check downs, whether it's a screen, coming out the backfield, anything, I think he gets 5 catches. So, I'm going HN over 4.5 receptions this week for my bolt the door lock.
Yeah, I think that's light. I think that's real light. I mean, considering even last week, they were up 17-0 on the freaking Panthers and they had 19, ended up what, 19 rushing yards, I think, believe the whole game.
Yep.
And they were up 17-0.
Yep.
So they're not a team that's really looking to run the ball.
Oh,
They're getting those things out, quick passes, little dump off screens. I mean, Achan's been eating that stuff up. So no, that's a great play. Great play. Hopefully we keep him in check. Let him get his
yeah.
little dunk downs. But as soon as he's catching it, hopefully we're laying the wood and we're putting him on the floor. So
Yeah.
trying to see no big plays. That guy's pretty electric. So
Yeah, that
keep
line
him in
could be like
prayer.
five for like 19 yards, like I don't need
Cool
five
with that.
for 40, but five for 19 yards, let's get him at the line of scrimmage.
I'm
Uh,
cool with that.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for though. So let's take it to our favorite over under. So, where are you going this week for that favorite over under?
So I'm gonna keep it with Herbert. And I'm actually gonna take his under on passing yards. Um, it's at 254 and a half.
Hmm.
So that line to me is really high, and I get why it's high. I mean, it's against the Miami Dolphins, and like you said, I mean, their passing ranks will be a lot lower if teams haven't just had to lead against them and they've been just running the football.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's going to play into it. I think that we will have the lead. I think that we are going to establish the run. And I just don't feel like Herbert's going to need to throw for more than 250 yards for us to win this game.
Yep.
And additionally, he hasn't thrown for that in the last two games. Um, so I just don't see him hitting that number. One, out of necessity. We don't need to. But I think it's going to be a game where establish the run. Herbert plays a really good, clean game. He makes timely throws. He will get his numbers, but I think that under. I think that number is a little elevated for I think this game. So I'm going to go with the under on that. Under so 254 and a half. I'll take that under on Herbert's passing yards.
You know, as a Herbert fan, don't know if I love any under from Justin Herbert, but I'll let this one slide. Now, if we can win and it's under, you make great points still with it. And if anything, hey, reverse jinx him. Let's get over it just because Justin said under.
All
Um,
right, we get a dub. I mean, it's cool. Four and two is
yeah.
better than a little bit of money, if you ask me.
Absolutely. I'm going favorite over under. I think it's a guy that's going to be coming on the last few weeks, and I think he's just going to continue taking these steps forward. I'm looking at Ladd's over 4.5 receptions, so the same line as Achan. It's at minus 150 on DraftKings. Last week, 5 for 5 on his targets, or no, excuse me, 5 receptions on 7 targets. Um, I think the volume's going to be coming. He had the touchdown to start the opening drive. I thought, okay, we're gonna have a nice little solid game here for Lad. Gets the punt return, looking great out there. Even though it's called back, that's still stuff that can give you energy moving forward. Because regardless, people will probably hit his phone or during the week of practice when they're watching film, like watch this play, watch this play. You know, he's juking 3 people, getting by him. He
Uh-huh. Hurdling people.
Man, the hurdle on the punter was low key disrespectful because Buddy was already on his knees and he was just falling to do something. And he hurdled right over him. But that was such a sweet way to go into the end zone. So I think he just picks up steam off of that performance. Like I said, it wasn't a crazy performance. We're still waiting for him to kind of pop out a little bit. And I think, Keenan is getting a lot of attention from Justin Herbert. Other teams will probably pick up on that. And that leaves Ladd there. QJ, of course. But QJ's been that vertical guy. So I think Ladd will have something this week. 4.5, I'm taking that over. Find that one on your book and go ahead and punch that over for Ladd. Lastly, let's talk about that anytime touchdown. What you got? What you cooking up this week? Anytime.
So I'm gonna go with a man who I believe is gonna get the goal line roll in this game, and I'm gonna go Hassan Haskins, favorite anytime.
Okay.
I think it kind of goes hand in hand with just how poor they are as a rushing defense, and I think that we will find ourselves in the red zone. I do think that Haskins is obviously going to get the first crack at goal line opportunities. I do think that Kamani Valdell probably will get some opportunities in the red zone, but I do think goal line stuff will go to Haskins. I mean, he's the bigger back. We've seen it before. I've seen it last year where he vultured some goal line touchdowns. So anytime touchdown, I'm going Hassan Haskins. It's plus 150 over on FanDuel. I just think it's a pretty easy play when you look at our structure of our team. I think we need to do a better job, and hopefully Greg Roman will maybe start incorporating some more early down runs in when we're in goal to goal situations. A lot of it's been play action stuff, Herbert
Yeah.
passing. Let's try to be a little bit physical, especially with this team that's so bad against the run. So I'm loving Haskins to have an anytime touchdown. Like I said, that's plus 150. So the odds are pretty good there. Um, I'm locking that in.
Yeah, his is definitely higher on the books from what I've seen. So I think a lot of people and books as well are thinking he is going to play that goal line running role. So I love that play, and I would love to see him get in the end zone. Give him some confidence and all that. One where I was thinking about going, but just I don't know because he hasn't really shown it, and I went a couple weeks ago was Herbert because of no running game, and maybe he punches one in for us around the goal line. I'm taking mine. So the guy that got in last week and the guy I got for the over, I'm going Lad. I just think we're going to keep building up for him. And like I mentioned in that last one, that Keenan is getting a lot of attention, especially around that goal line, which could open something up for Lad. We also missed Lad for a wide open touchdown the very first play of the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
Herbert decided to check down because I think he just didn't feel like he felt more pressure than was actually there, so he didn't scan the field like he probably should have. And that's maybe the second or third time this year that's happened to Lad. We talked about one of the other ones. I believe it was the Raiders
The
game
Raiders, yep,
where he
streaking
was
across the
wide
field.
open and we didn't hit him. So that's two right off the top of our heads where it's like, man, if he just gets hit, it's a walk-in touchdown. So and he got hit in a red zone one last week early. So waiting for him to break maybe a big one or sneak past that defense. Um, we talked about Miami secondary and just defense in general being liable to give you kind of whatever. So I think Ladd's going to be that guy this week. I'm taking him plus 170 to get in the end zone. And let's get back on the positive side of things for that bolt standard betting. It's been a couple weeks, like just like the Chargers. Maybe ours have been a little bit rough. So once they get back rolling, maybe we get back rolling too. So go ahead, lock those in. If you think you got a better play, hey, let us know in the comments. What do you think is your favorite bet? What's your lock? Best over? Who you want to see get in the end zone? Because there's a couple of good options this week, and different options this week now that Hampton's out. And we're going against a defense that can give us multiple options to get into the end zone.
Let's get it. It's time to make some money. We got, you said, we got to get back in that winning column. Only had one. We were 1-6 last week.
Let's
Like I
see.
said, things
Yeah.
happen. If your team not playing well, most likely your picks ain't gonna do well. So we're all gonna collectively get it together this week.
We're gonna ride that roller coaster. It was like this right last week, but you know what happens when it
Mhm.
goes down? Got to come back up. So
Got to.
let's do that. Speaking of roller coasters, we're gonna talk about this game prediction. So who do you think is gonna win this week? We got the Chargers at the Miami Dolphins. We talked about that noon start East Coast. We're traveling west to east again. We got all the air miles this year. I hope the Chargers are being able to clock those. They might get a good vacation out of it at the end of the year after a deep playoff run. But before then, with all this travel, do you think it's going to affect us? How do you see this noon start going? They got us currently at a 4.5 point favorite heading into Miami. Decent little line there, but I think they're playing in, way we've looked the last couple of weeks and, just that travel aspect as well, possibly catching up to us. We've been back and forth literally every week since the opening week. And the opening week was in Brazil. So, how do you see this game playing out? What's your game prediction this weekend? Chargers at the Miami Dolphins.
So two things that I look at, and before I get my game prediction, and I want to add, I've been really good with these game predictions. I'll be honest. Last week, obviously, I was way off because of our offensive woes,
Yeah,
but I predicted 31-27 that we'd win. They scored 27 points. We didn't hold up our end of the bargain.
right.
Um, so these predictions have been pretty good.
Okay.
But I think we do win this game. Obviously, I do think that this one's going to be a lower scoring affair. I look at our O line. PFF has us ranked as the 19th ranked O line, which that's pretty generous, honestly. I thought it was going to be a lot lower. But I look at our 19th ranked O line from PFF. The Dolphins, their O line is ranked 27th. So I look at those two things right there, and I think I think those two things are going to tell you and going to allow you to really see, okay, how's this game going to get won? You have pretty decent pass rushes on the Dolphins side, and we have a Chargers defense who's been lacking the pass rush outside of Thule. Don't know how much Odafe is going to play. I'm hoping that even with a limited, knowledge of the game, I mean of the playbook, um, he just got to be out there. You got no better options. I don't care if the guy doesn't know the plays at all. You're a football player.
Yep.
Like just figure it out. But I do think that that's going to tell a tale of the story, the offensive line play. So I have us winning it 24-13.
Hmm.
I don't think that Miami's going to be able to score the football. I think that they're going to really struggle. Our defense and men are just way too good. And Tua's not that quarterback that I'm concerned about when you pressure him, getting out the pocket, making other things happen. He's not that kind of quarterback. And like you said, he's a guy that can definitely be razzled. He can be, rattled with the pressure, and we've seen it. You put a hit or two on him,
Yeah.
it throws off the entire game plan because
Yep.
now he's consistently thinking about the pressure. He's consistently thinking about getting hit. He's throwing the ball earlier than he shouldn't. I, I, I see us getting back in that turnover column and being able to win this game. So yeah, I don't think the Dolphins have a good game at all. I see us winning this game, and I see Herbert playing his first turnover-free game since week two
Yep.
because he hasn't had a turnover-free game since week one and week two.
Yeah.
So I do see us winning that 24-13.
Awesome. I love it. We love to see us bounce back like that. And especially would love to see it with zero turnovers coming from Herbert or just really anybody, right? Hopefully nobody, fumbles a kickoff or fumbles a reception taking us into the red zones or something like that, hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
But For my for my game pick, so one of the shows I listen to a lot of, right? I listen to they do their game picks and Unbuttoned with Kristen and Florio, and when they have the same score, they call it like a bingo, bango, bongo or something, right? He says that, and we're really close. We almost got one, and I was thinking we might have to come up with something like a little, we just had a lightning strike there because we had the same. We're close though. I have it 24-20 this week, Chargers. You know. I don't have a ton of belief in us just blowing somebody out at this point right now or dominating a football game, no matter how bad the team is, because you saw what, t took place the last 2 weeks, games that could have been seen as opponents that are equal or less than with the Giants a couple weeks ago. And it was a struggle. So, you know, regardless of the way that it is. But I think this time we get it done. We have yet to have a high scoring game, so that's why I'm not putting us up near the 30s. Three touchdowns and a field goal would be an awesome game for us to get some scores in there and get some people into the end zone and finish these red zone drives. Like you mentioned, we need to get that efficiency better and finish with touchdowns. We have too good of a quarterback and too good of weapons to be either turning the ball over or not finishing those drives. So I'm looking for us to get those points. I'm glad we didn't focus a lot on Miami in the pod because I don't think there's a ton of focus that needs to be put on them. It's all about us. We handle our business, we'll win. Because a lot of the issues that we have a lot of similar ones, if not worse. And I think that's just a sinking ship over there. I don't think a lot of those guys really care to play for McDaniel anymore, or that he has the innovation or the spark or whatever to get this team to respond to him. And that's a bad loss last week, man. Like you mentioned, 17-0 against the Panthers, a team that's like, if you go up 17-0 on them, I don't know how many other teams would fall apart. And that game kind of got lost behind the Cardinals disaster. But losing 17-0 and giving up 200 yards rushing to Rico Dowdle and the Carolina Panthers, that's a tough pill to swallow. So I think that at 1-4 that they are,
Yep.
that ship is just it's sinking. It's a burning boat. Some of those people probably want to get out, and we will help them with that. So 24-20. I also have this as a must-win game for us too. So we got to find a way to win. We cannot be 3-3 with two of the three losses to the New York Giants and the Miami Dolphins. Plain and simple. Um, I don't care that it's a road game at our early window. Figure it out, get it done. I don't care about the O-line anymore. Figure it out, get it done. Win games, be a good team, be the team that we saw the first 3 weeks. Regardless of who's on the field, play with that mentality, play with that energy, play with that belief. Finish these games, finish these drives. That's what I'm looking for. I think we figure out a way to do that. I would love if we have a way better score than 24-20, but that's where I got it.
Absolutely. No, I love everything you said there. Like you said, it's just be a better team. Even if the O-line play stayed exactly the same, which has been pretty bad, if you just be a better team in the aspect of limiting the penalties,
Yes.
we we probably wouldn't be sitting 3-2. We'd probably be 4-1. I don't think we'd be 5-0, but I think 4-1 is definitely extremely realistic
Yeah.
if we limit the penalties. O-line play, I think Herbert can overcome some bad overline O-line play. We've
Yeah.
seen it, but he can't overcome penalty after penalty after penalty. And it's not even just O-line penalties. It's like you said, it's punt return TD and it's roughing the punter. It's all these little things, but it's all phases of the game where it's just penalties, it's poor play, it's lack of discipline, and we just can't do that. So, like you said, man, definitely get back in the win columns. It's definitely a must-win game. Cannot start out 3-0, drop your last three, and two of those be to the freaking Dolphins and the Giants.
Yep.
Two teams that I got to combine two wins right now.
Yeah.
Can't.
Absolutely. And you saw today Greg Roman mentioned that, it's going to be a committee with Haskins and Vidal. So interested to see how that plays out, right? There's a lot of interesting notes going on this week and a lot of changes that hopefully we find good positives from, especially the Oweh. I think he is going to play. Mentor said that he looks forward to having him out there. A guy that you've mentioned, Mickens, they said that he will be on the field. They said, Mentor said nobody knows the game plan better than he has last few weeks. So interested to see him out there alongside a vet like Tony Jefferson. Maybe some new energy will get, make a play out there or two. So a lot of little things to look for this game. New players on the field that maybe could just give us a little spark and bring us to life. So yeah, want to see some Charger energy out there.
Absolutely. Like I said, a lot of good positive things to look forward to. just like a lot of positive to look forward to from all of our viewers. So we appreciate all you guys kind of tuning in with us and just being here. Whether you're watching, whether you're sharing it, you're telling a friend, you're commenting down below. You see the logo on the shirt. We love being here. We love being able to share this content with you guys and be here for you guys and bring you that information. So if you're tuning in, like I said, a couple different things you could do. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to our channel. If you're watching any of our videos and you're not subscribed, you're doing yourself a disservice. And we would just love that you would be just getting our content every single time we put something out. You get that notification that, hey, Bowl Standard Pod, they got some new fire content coming your way. Make sure you go and tune in. So if you could do any of those things, we love it. Like Dylan said, interact with us. If you think you got better plays than what we got in our betting segment, drop them down below. We will
Yeah.
definitely tune in and we'll reach back out to you guys and we'll definitely discuss some things. So um, we're gonna head out of here. Like I said, heading over back to the East Coast. Got the early window, but we're gonna walk out of there with a dub. We're gonna end up 4-2, and we're gonna be able to put our heads back up, and we're gonna not keep those heads down. So at the end of this week coming up, we'll be good to go. Bolt up.